between male and female? Was there any such goings on whilst you were there?
Absolutely. So we were doing the work under SCLC with the citizenship schools and making great headway. Or, our funders, if you will, were very pleased with the work we were doing. And there were some younger people who were assigned, like Andrew Young was supposed to be like the assistant in overseeing the citizenship schools. But it just seemed like the younger people were more interested in the things that brought attention and not the quiet work that needed to be done in the background. That was the purview of the women. In fact, at one point, I shared my opinion with Martin Luther King, Reverend Dr. King. I didn't criticize him, but I did ask him not to lead all the marches. Like other Black ministers, Dr. King didn't think too much of the way women could contribute. I think that is something passed down from being Baptist preachers, because in the SCLC, that was the power structure. And I think they brought that same structure they had in the churches where women work but are not seen, don't speak. They brought that to the civil rights movement. And I think that not paying attention to the contributions of women and allowing women to really have a voice was one of the weaknesses of the civil rights movement. The way the men looked at women, I think that the work the women did during the time of civil rights is what really carried the movement along. The women carried forth their ideas. And I think that the civil rights movement would never have taken off if some woman hadn't started to really speak up, like Ella Jo Baker. We had a different way of doing things, but we talked about these issues and we knew that there were a lot of issues. So I had some, issues with some of the men. In fact, Ralph Abernathy was particularly disrespectful. I was the only woman on the board, the executive council, and I was there because I headed up the citizenship schools. And every time we would be at a meeting, it just irked him to no end that I was there. And he would always ask, why does she have to be here? Well, because of the work I do and the expertise that I bring. But he was very, very condescending. Of course, we know, or at least history has it, that he was also very jealous of Dr. King, and he and his wife acted out quite often.